What's up, Wisecrack? Jared here. When you think of the 2004 film Mean Girls, you likely picture Tina Fey as a sassy math teacher, Rachel McAdams being hit by a bus, or golden era Lindsay Lohan throwing up in a dude's lap. But I'm willing to bet that you probably don't remember it as a hard-hitting critique on our modern definition of happiness. But if you're really paying attention, and I mean really close attention, Mean Girls is a masterclass in how to live a happy life and how not to. It also teaches you that mathletes probably shouldn't moonlight as rappers.
I don't play it like Shaggy. You'll know it was me, because the next time you see her, she'd be like, Kevin G.
And unlike the happiness methods available on goop.com, this route to happiness doesn't involve putting jade eggs in any of your orifices, though we won't judge you if that's your thing. So welcome to this Wisecrack Edition on Mean Girls, and as always, spoilers ahead. But before we get into it, a quick recap. Katie Heron is uprooted from her life in Africa when her zoologist parents decide to move to suburban Chicago. A childhood spent in the bush has done little to prepare her for the culture shock of American high school. After two artsy outcasts show her the ropes, she finds herself adopted into the Plastics, the undisputed it girls of Evanston who live by a militant code.
You can't wear a tank top 2 days in a row, and you can only wear your hair in a ponytail once a week.
After Katie is betrayed by their leader, Regina George.
How could Janice hate Regina? She was such a good slut!
She attempts to use her new status to take them down from the inside. Along the way, she becomes that which she sought to destroy, a manipulative person driven by her own selfish desires. Eventually, she redeems herself via a clutch contribution to the math team.
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist!
Our new state champions, the North Shore Mathletes.
And uses her crown as Queen of the Spring Fling to bring balance to the North Shore universe. Her moral arc is basically the Anakin Skywalker story told in 90 minutes, and with no murder, or pod racing.
Now this is pod racing.
On its surface, Mean Girls is the story of how a normal person tries to find happiness with money, status, and instant gratification, and fails. In her initially innocent pursuit of acceptance, Katie is absorbed into a world where backstabbing
Regina says everyone hates you because you're such a slut. She said that?
and lying
I can try and get out of it. Yeah. Because I told my friend Janice I'd go to her art show.
are commonplace, where status symbols like boyfriends and earrings are the best currency, and where school is a playground for social gymnastics rather than a place of learning, all in the pursuit of high school happiness. But this very modern story might best be understood with the help of a certain ancient philosopher who never once had sex in a projection booth. Aristotle. Long before happiness was a multi-billion-dollar industry, Aristotle wrote Nicomachean Ethics, where he methodically explains that everything we thought we knew about happiness is dumb and wrong. Aristotle's things that don't actually make you happy are vigorously pursued by the students of North Shore. Pleasure, money, honor, or translated for the times, popularity. Pleasure for Aristotle is only a fleeting happiness. While Aristotle isn't trying to harsh anyone's mellow,
don't have sex.
He doesn't think that sex, drugs, and late-night binge-watching sessions can build true happiness. Sex ends, highs fade, and Scrubs only had 9 seasons. Then there's the emotional high of being praised by others. Honor. In the context of North Shore High, this would be that special teenage joy derived from popularity. Since it's completely dependent on others and not something we can do for ourselves, Aristotle thinks honor does not offer real happiness. Regina's exceptional popularity might bring her temporary joy, but said joy evaporates when her peers turn against her. She's soon left with only her Swedish weight gain bars for company. And we see Katie get figuratively and literally drunk on honor when she uses her popularity to undermine Regina and throw a rager. But as most people know, popularity doesn't last forever, and the high school quarterback usually ends up with a Kid Rock tattoo and a loveless marriage. Finally, we have wealth, which Aristotle also finds inadequate because we only really want it for the sake of acquiring something else. For example, if you want money to buy a signed Blu-ray of the 2002 surf drama Blue Crush, it's not the money you desire, but the sun-soaked drama of Kate Bosworth and Michelle Rodriguez's surf dreams. The Plastics bask in their family money. Regina rocks a stylish convertible and drinks virgin cocktails in the master bedroom of her massive home, while Gretchen is the proud heiress of the toaster strudel fortune.
I don't think my father, the inventor of toaster strudel, would be too pleased to hear about this.
Clearly, in the ecosystem of North Shore, wealth equates to a certain type of perceived happiness. But the biggest downside to these three bootleg versions of happiness isn't a hangover or an unattractive obsession with your father's pastry legacy. Rather, it's that over time, pursuing false happiness ends up changing who you are. For Aristotle, character and happiness are not some innate quality, but are developed through our actions. Acting like a garbage person makes you a garbage person. Katie initially only starts acting like a plastic and valuing popularity as a means of infiltrating Regina's inner circle. But instead of just superficially fitting in to accomplish her mission, she develops their habits and moral outlook. In the process, she transforms herself into the very thing she hated, and that is not fetch.
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
So what is real happiness? For Aristotle, happiness is the aim of all moral philosophy. The Greek word he used for happiness was eudaimonia, which means something closer to human flourishing than any feelings you might associate with Costco's $1.50 hot dog soda combo. Instead, happiness is the result of actively doing things that reflect who you really want to be, rather than a simple feeling or emotional state. To pursue happiness, according to Aristotle, means to pursue the good in everything you do. So let's say you start learning to play the bass. At first, you suck. Your fingers hurt, all your notes are off, and your instructor can barely hide her disdain. But after months and months of hard work, it all starts to come together. And soon, your rendition of the Seinfeld theme song is an extension of your very soul, and it feels awesome. By doing the hard work and pursuing the good that is musical mastery, you have achieved real Aristotelian happiness. At least for now. And this is how we can read Mean Girls, a story about Katie's journey to achieve this type of happiness through a series of trials and failures. Like you, a fledgling bass guitarist for a soon-to-be-discovered Seinfeld-themed grindcore band, Katie is also learning, in this case the art of healthy high school socializing. In the process, she eventually lands on something close to Aristotelian happiness. This is happiness that involves activity, intentionally aiming at a particular goal that's deemed to be good, in this case being a kind contributing member of her community. And it's a goal that can never be completed, as it's not like you can ever finish the process of becoming a good bass guitarist, a good friend, or a good mathlete. It's not just practicing to be good or happy that makes one happy, however. True happiness also involves incessantly examining your past actions and motivations to better inform your future actions. It's precisely when Katie starts reflecting on her past mistakes and flawed value system in that classic Hollywood form of an internal monologue.
Calling somebody else fat won't make you any skinnier. Calling someone stupid doesn't make you any smarter. And ruining Regina George's life definitely didn't make me any happier. All you can do in life is try to solve the problem in front of you.
That she gets back on the path towards real happiness. And in the final act of the film, we finally see Katie, and to various extents the other characters, giving up on the desire for individual pleasure, honor, or material gain, and embrace a different, more Aristotelian type of happiness. It's telling that Katie's redemption requires some hard decisions, and involves doing things that might not immediately bring pleasure and honor. Things like taking the fall for the burn book.
Mr. Duval, I wrote it.
Joining the mathletes for an important competition, and then using a moment of honor and praise to make others feel good.
You know, I've never been to one of these things before, and when I think about how many people wanted this, and how many people cried over it and stuff, I mean, I think everybody looks like royalty tonight.
It's not easy or fun to jump into being good, but with work, it becomes more natural. Still, no matter how ethically Katie behaves while eating lunch alone in the bathroom, she's not going to be truly happy. For that, she'll need other people. In particular, Katie needs other human beings, as Aristotle thought you could only be so happy on your own. For Aristotle, it's impossible to be virtuous by yourself, because if you do something super nice or kind or loving to yourself, well, that's just selfish. And that's why it's no surprise that Katie's redemptive arc involves her acting morally towards others, and that she finds happiness through these relationships. In the film, we see her engaging with all types of friendships, first with Janice and Damien, then with the plastics, then with no one, and eventually with everyone. And just like with happiness, Aristotle and Mean Girls first shows us what bad friendships look like. Mean Girls is full of friendships that range from slightly unhealthy to actively sadistic, and these types of failed friendships build directly upon the failed types of happiness previously discussed. Failed friendships are those in which one person is gaining some type of advantage or pleasure from the other. Basically the entire dynamic of the plastics, in which popularity and being seen in fancy cars is the end goal. And even Katie's initial friendship with Damien and Janice isn't good, as they're using her as a means to joyfully watch the destruction of another human. Instead, Aristotle thinks we should pursue friendships with people who we think are good, and that the dynamic of these friendships should be helping each other continue to do good things. Even though it's weird to be friends with your teachers, Miss Norbury is a good friend to Katie when she encourages her to live up to her full potential.
Katie, I know that having a boyfriend may seem like the most important thing in the world right now, but you don't have to dumb yourself down to get guys to like you.
Aristotle puts it like this: those who wish good things to their friends for the sake of the latter are friends most of all because they do so because of their friends themselves and not coincidentally. It's not until the final moments of the film that we see Katie participating in a virtuous form of friendship in which she seems to be focused on the good of others. And it's only after this that Katie, and the film's other characters, seem genuinely happy. Instead of uniting around the quest for popularity, people are finally forming friendships revolving around shared aims and activities. Whether it's showing us the failures of seeking happiness in makeout sessions and popularity contests, or teaching us about the dynamics of virtuous friendships, Mean Girls packs a few hundred pages of Aristotle's writings on happiness into a 90-minute movie. So, what do you think? Does Mean Girls offer a model for how we can pursue happiness in our own lives? Or is it just mildly suggesting that you push the meanest girl at school in front of a bus? Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks again to our incredible patrons for supporting our podcast and the channel. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.